All right, today is a super exciting day. I'm going to be completing baby step 1 of Dave Ramsey's 7 steps to financial freedom. So yeah, if you've never heard of Dave Ramsey or Financial Peace University or the 7 baby steps, definitely take some time to check those out. Kind of lays out a plan for you to be intentional with your money and to and achieve a higher level of freedom. And of course, the first baby step being a emergency fund of $1,000. And that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to head to my credit union, withdraw $1,000, put it in an envelope, seal it, and tuck it away somewhere. And that's going to be my $1,000 emergency fund. It'll be great. Super simple, but definitely comes in handy in a pinch. So to be honest, I've actually already had this $1,000 emergency fund for about the past 6 months, but to keep it set apart, today I wanted to actually get it in cash, put it in an envelope, and just kind of have it really set aside, tangible, cash in a pinch. If something happened to my card or my bank or something like that, I would just always have this $1,000 set aside. With Black Friday and Christmas coming around, it's also kind of a nice way of keeping that money for myself so that I don't spend it. Because if it's showing up on an account balance in my bank account, it's easier to do some online shopping or whatever. So having this cash, cold hard cash, separated would be a nice way of kind of locking that money away. It's just a nice feeling to have a little buffer between you and those inevitable emergencies that come up. So this is a lot harder than it looks most of the time, especially because once you have a little bit of money in your bank account, it's nice to be able to buy something nice for yourself or go out to eat or just loosen up your budget a little bit, which is why it's so important to put this money in a separate place, because you know yourself, you're gonna spend it if it's in your checking account. So take it out of the bank, put it in cash, or at least put it in like a savings account or some sort of easily accessible account. Dave Ramsey talks about his preferred money market accounts and stuff that are fluid and liquid and all that stuff. But really it's more about what's convenient for you to be able to get in an emergency, but not convenient enough where you're gonna spend it like you do the rest of your money. So you definitely do not want it in your checking account. You want it somewhere else so that it is sacred, set apart money, and that you'll only dip into it in an emergency. So depending on what your income looks like and what your expenses look like, this might take a while. This might take you 6 months to a year to even be able to scrape together $1,000. But if you can do it in a month, then do it in a month. That's great. The important part is that you chip away at it. Even if you just put $100 a month toward an emergency fund, it's better than nothing. It's better than waiting until all the planets align to be able to have a little bit of emergency money set aside. The bummer about the emergency fund is that it's going to feel like wasted opportunity or wasted money just sitting there, but you got to think of it as like your own insurance. So it's not wasted money, because when you do have to dip into it, you're going to be so grateful that it's there. And then, when it is depleted, you might also be discouraged, but at the same time, the other option is that you had to actually get into debt to cover your emergency expenses. And so that is way better of an option, to be like, oh, I can just pay myself in advance. And then whenever you do have to dip into that emergency fund and it depletes a little bit, then you just take the next few months to try to build it back up. And that way you're always trying to stay one step ahead of anything that life throws your way. In fact, back in February when I was just starting at Nisolo, my first week at the job, my engine died in my car. Fortunately, I did have some money set aside so that I could dip into that to replace my engine for my car so that I could be able to get to work. The crazy thing is that the replacement engine that went into my car also broke down within that same month time period. So I went 5 weeks without a working car and had to spend almost $800 between lifts and car rentals and stuff like that. And so I actually probably needed a lot more than $1,000 emergency fund, but the fact that it was there was super helpful back in February and March. Now, I definitely made my budget a lot tighter in that time period, but at least it was there and I could at least know, okay, now I need to scale back my expenses this month because I'm gonna need to replenish that emergency fund, so I need to cut back in other areas to be able to build it back up. So yeah, what are your thoughts on emergency funds? Should they be $1,000? Should they be more? Is it even worth it, or should you just use credit cards every time you need it? Enough skating, let's go to the bank. Today we're gonna knock out the $1,000 emergency fund. Baby step 1.